Hi everyone. So in this video, we want to talk about a new concept that came with Houdini 17, I think, and we start it with Vellum, and that is DOPs in Sops. So far when we talked about simulations, I explained to you that everything that is a simulation lives in a DOP network. And if we go into this DOP network and we look for Vellum, we actually do find everything we would expect. We find a Vellum solver and a Vellum object. There you go, everything is there. You can still build your simulation that way. But there's actually a new way, and we will actually use the new way throughout this course. The concept of having the Vellum solver directly, if I type in and manage to do it, Vellum solver on the SOP level, there is now a node that does all of this already. And the cool thing about this is it has all kinds of stuff already built in. So Vellum, we will talk about this in the next video, needs at the very minimum two things, and that is a cloth configure node and then the solver. And we will talk about why it has multiple outputs, but just for now, I want to show you that with just those two nodes, I already have a working simulation. As you can see, gravity is kind of already built in this node, and internally, of course, there is a DOP network. But also what I can do is I can give it a collision object, and it already has a built-in static object that knows how to handle collisions. So without having to create all this by hand, I can run this and you can see it already works. And this is the big advantage of that. It's basically a preset. And if you double click on the Vellum solver, first of all, it doesn't look like a DOP network, but the thing is, it's called a dive target. You actually jump in 2 levels. We will talk about this later on. But if you go 1 level up, what you can see is here is a completely normal DOPnet. And actually, when you go one further, this is kind of this very big and complex setup that is built in this node. But internally, it still uses a DOP network. Imagine it a bit like a preset, and we already know something similar when we type in pop network. This is kind of already a pre-built DOP network with the most essential nodes in it. This just goes way further and gives us all kinds of functions that we need usually in almost 100% of the time, like a static object and all that already. So we will see this approach of not having to create your DOP networks from scratch, even though you can still do that, in many other fields later on. So Side Effects started to do that for RBDs and also for Pyro as of Houdini version 18.0. I do imagine and can already foresee this happening for other fields as well, for example, Flip. And maybe even Pops, even though it kind of already is having its own preset with a PopNet. But you will see that more and more. Nonetheless, keep in mind that does not change the rules we already applied. There's still a fact that there is a DOP network inside here, and still you have your static object here, your gravity, and you can activate a ground plane. So all this does is it packs all the stuff we talked about in a more convenient way. Okay, so that's DOPs in Sops. And we will see this concept, of course, throughout Vellum. We will, as far as I know, exclusively use this setup because it makes a lot of sense. And we will see that later in other fields as well. All right, more about Vellum in the next couple of videos. See you then. Cheers.